This week, your guys' Soul Talk Sunday questions were off the hook. Super interesting information came through. And in fact, it led me into a new integration. So that's what I actually want to talk about first, because likely if you guys continue along on this work, that's going to be what starts to happen for you too. Hands up if you've never had a soul activation and you haven't had a amazing fragment of yourself lay back down and just integrate and bring back all of your magic, because that was me a couple of years ago. And if I had heard somebody say that to me, I would have had no idea what that even means. As we start down this path of doing what's called a multidimensional acceleration, we are going to be coming across new collectives, new aspects of ourself. Well, not really new, we're reconnecting, but we're going to be coming back to these things, and we're going to have these moments where we can start bringing that data set or that level of us back into this human body, into this existence. The really beautiful thing that happens when we learn how to lean into this is that new skills come on board, we make connections with new beings, we start having a wider array of psychic gifts and abilities come on, our healing capacities turn way the frick up. It gets easier to understand who we are and what we're doing on this planet. And your guys' questions this week led me to one of those. So thank you, that was pretty cool. This week, you guys asked a lot of questions, not only about what's going on globally with the unrest and with the systemic racism that's happening and, you know, what's happening with all the violence, but you also asked a lot of questions about your purpose at this time. And I had Bashar come through, which is pretty crazy. If you guys have ever listened, there is a gentleman by the name of Daryl Anka. He has a YouTube channel, Instagram, Facebook. He typically channels Bashar and he has a whole bunch of content, and I had the channel swing over here this week, which is wild. I've never made contact with him before. The aspect that I was working with was an Orion aspect, so that was really fascinating. My good friend Violet had the bridge for me on that one, so super appreciative on that. And then the other being, and I've been working with this one for a long time, is Yeshua, or what we may still refer to as Jesus, or the archetype of. So your questions certainly caught the attention of some pretty big names and archetypes out there. There was a lot of data that came through. Okay, so the first question that was really, really loud was about our soul purpose. Like, why are we even here at this time? Who am I? What am I supposed to be doing on this planet? That kind of data. And what was so fascinating about that question is the answer was so simple. Normally, when I've gone in and I've tried to get information on, you know, purpose-driven data, a lot of it is just look to your passions, figure out what makes you happy, think about how to be creative, but not this time. This time, the data was so different, and it was definitely a space of ease. Okay, so here's what they had to say. So here was Bashar's message on what is our life purpose. He said, our life purpose is not long term. It is not something that we grab onto today and is meant to be our full tomorrow. It is moment to moment snippets of what feels light and right and expansive for our soul. It is, what do I feel driven to act upon today? How do I desire to serve in this moment? What do I desire to say at this time? And we are overcomplicating it as humans when we start going into this energy of having to know this big picture complex of what we think our life purpose is supposed to look like, because our brains want to go, well, I need to know whether I'm a healer or if I'm a psychic seer or if I'm supposed to be a channel or a nurse or a teacher or whatever it is. And we try to put our purpose in a box, but what they wanted me to bring back to you was our purpose is momentary. And each of those moments has significance. And each of those moments adds to that ripple effect that we're all trying to create on this planet. So it was just such a fantastic easy breakdown message to bring forward to you guys. It brought me a lot of ease because sometimes I know in the current world circumstances, I've asked myself the question, am I doing enough? Is this one thing I said today the right thing to say? Should I be getting up there and shouting about this? Should I be getting super intense and talking about that? And what really came back was just this ease. What do you feel inspired to do with this today? And if it's to be quiet and go inward and do your work, do your work. If it's to advocate and speak up, but don't do it because somebody else told you you had to, right? It all needs to come back and be inward. The next piece to this purpose is a lot of us feel like we are very specifically here for this turn of events, this change in consciousness, this moment in time where we know that humanity is going through one of the biggest shifts we have seen in the 20th and 21st centuries in terms of how awake the populations are. And I think a lot of us have a lot of pressure on ourselves as to how we feel we need to be showing up and what we think we need to be doing. And again, Bashar brought it back down to this. He shared with me that, again, we need to remember that our purpose is momentary in each circumstance. It is not this big picture, broad stroke paintbrush that we just say, oh, I'm a healer, so this is my mission. It is in each conscious connection we make with each being we come across in each circumstances, or in each circumstance, we make a difference. And so I'm really going to encourage you guys to not get lost in the idea that we have to have our big, 20-year picture figured out, because you don't. It is really just about being present right here, right now. How do I show up and support this one interaction? And it adds up over time. Okay. So that was the answer on that one. I hope that helps you guys. It was just such a beautiful message. It was so relevant to right now. I just think it was so easy to digest for us, and it takes the pressure off. Like, that's what I really felt, is there has been a lot of pressure on the light worker and the grid worker and the healer and the seer communities, to be the advocates, to be the speakers, to be the ones that are out there changing the world. But we don't change the world by yelling at people and getting in people's faces. That's not how this job gets done. We do it by the simple demonstrations and actions every single day, and where we put our time, where we invest our energy, where we put our money, right? This is how we get better. This is how we start shifting the planet. And we have to keep listening to our soul to decide how we are going to best serve.